We all have too much on our plates, on our to-do list, especially as a solopreneur, or what I like to call soulpreneur. You are visionary, you are compassionate, and therefore you tend to pile a lot into your to-do list, your desires to, complete this project or start this thing or to take care of this person or all. There's so much that you're trying to do. And honestly, there's not enough pruning of your to-do list on a regular basis. So I'm going to share with you a system that I now call EASE, EASE. And this system used to be called EADA, EADA, and I'll explain why. And this four-part system will help you to prune all the tasks on your, to-do list, on your wherever you take notes and all the notes everywhere, help you prune those projects so that you can be more focused, bring your energy into whatever is actually most impactful and enjoyable for you so that you can actually accomplish more of what you're most purposeful in doing. Okay, so let me first explain what EASE stands for. It stands for eliminate things that actually aren't that important. A stands for automate. If you cannot eliminate it, if it's important enough that you cannot just, put it as a someday maybe thing or to eliminate it altogether, then A stands for automate, which is to use software tools and perhaps AI to do some things for you that can be done with automations rather than you doing it manually. And then S stands for share. Now, the previous version of this framework, this third item used to be called delegate. It used to be a D, but thanks to AI and brainstorming with AI about a better acronym than EADA, it doesn't make any sense. The E's makes more sense. It's very smart AI. Instead of delegate, I'm using the word share because you're sharing the tasks with another human being who can help you accomplish it or at least take some part of it so that you have more time and energy to focus on the things that are most impactful that you can do. And then the last letter is E, again, E's, EASE. The last letter is E. That which you cannot eliminate is too important. That which you cannot automate because you don't know how to automate it yet, or there's no tool yet available for it, or there needs to be more human intelligence for it, then you share with another human being to do. And sometimes sharing means you're paying someone to do it. Sometimes it means it's maybe a family member is willing to take on some of that task, or a friend, or a colleague. Anyway, and then finally, E, the last E stands for enjoyment. That which you cannot eliminate or automate or share, then it's left for you to do. It's important enough, and no one else can do it except you. Well, then it's time for you to learn how to enjoy it. So enjoying it, placing joyful productivity into it. Anyway, so that's the EASE framework, EASE, eliminate, automate, share, and enjoy. And before I dive more deeply into this framework, the question is, when do you apply ease? Okay. You don't apply ease to everything on your to-do list. Although maybe every couple of months you might decide to take a couple hours and apply this ease framework to everything on your to-do list, or as much as you can, maybe everything on your calendar, your to-do list, what is sort of an open loop in your mind that you feel like you have to maybe take care of, you're not sure. You could do this once every couple of months for a couple hours and really sit down, for example, end of the year or the start of a new quarter or something like that. It might be productive to spend a couple hours doing that. Yeah, in fact, I think it's a good practice. I do it myself. However, even if you did that, you know, I would encourage you to think about this framework on a more regular basis, and so that it's not just every once in a while when things get really overwhelming, then you bring this ease framework in. Of course, do that, but do it regularly. So how can you do it more regularly? So for example, during your end of week review, if you have such a thing, or I actually don't, I just do a morning review and an evening review myself. But during one of your regular reviews of your tasks and projects and calendars, just bring this thing in to see if you can gently see if there's anything on your calendar that first you can eliminate, etc. Now, so yeah, let me actually start going the deep dive on this, and then I will share with you a process where if you do this more fully on a regular basis, how you can not be overwhelmed by doing it. So let me get into each of these letters. If you were just looking, let's say you were doing a daily review or weekly review, and you're quickly looking through your calendar and your to-do list. Okay. Those are the two places that you should try to apply this ease formula to. Your calendar is, of course, things that you have planned to do that you think are so important that they deserve a slot in the most precious asset you have, which is your time, that you're committing a particular time segment to this. So definitely do this with your calendar, but also as a result, if you have time, do it with your to-do list as well. So let me go through each letter a bit more deeply. The first thing you ask on each calendar item is, can I eliminate this? Because truth be told, because you care about so many things, and if I may, if I may go a little bit woo-woo on you, okay, just for a minute, I believe that our souls have an intuition about eternity because I believe that that's where we came from, and that I believe that's where we came from, and that I believe that part of our soul is still connected to eternity. And so we have this intuition that we're supposed to be able to do everything we want to with full attention and with full energy and creativity. So our soul has this intuition, and the more soulful you are, the stronger this intuition is, which can confuse your current earthly life and the limitations of time and space and energy. It confuses you to say, that's why you start putting all these things on your calendar and you're going to do this because your soul says, well, I should be able to do it all with full attention and compassion and creativity. But then your earthly body goes, maybe not. So I think we're here to practice focus and attention and compassion and rightful caring, uh, wise caring. That's we're here to practice prioritization for whatever reason. We have to if we're going to survive in this world. And so that's what eliminate means is to look at your calendar and go, if I didn't do that item, is that because here's the thing, the more you remove from your calendar and the more you remove from your to-do list, the more spaciousness you have to allow your deeper intuition to focus in on what is most purposeful actually for you. You actually need times of boredom to have greater creativity. If you don't have times of spaciousness and yes, boredom, I know it's such a foreign concept to us adults. Like, wait, no, there's no time to be bored. There's always something you got to take care of. Well, that's a problem because then you're always running on short-term thinking, short-term fire putting out. You're just always solving short-term problems that you don't have enough spaciousness and boredom or just simply spaciousness to have your nervous system be calm enough that you can really look far out into, well, you could say the future or look more deeply into connection with your soulful purpose so that you can say, what is really actually important in this life? What is my life actually calling me forth into at this time? So in the name of creating more spaciousness for yourself, creating more opportunity for your soulful guidance to come in and actually help you direct your priorities, please give yourself as much spaciousness in your calendar as possible. Now, some of that spaciousness, you end up, because you're so busy all the time, some of that spaciousness ends up where you just need to rest. You just need to play. You just need to not think about what is purposeful. That's okay. But you need that spaciousness to do that, to recover, so that once you still have more spaciousness, you can say, let me now reconnect again with what is most purposeful and meaningful for my life to spend my energy and time on. So this is my call to you, encouragement to you to take this first step of eliminating things from your calendar seriously. Because the thing is, here's the reality. You can probably eliminate much of your calendar things and still be just fine. And probably be even better, actually, because, like I said, the spaciousness gives you more connection to your purposeful intuition. You can eliminate most things from your to-do list as well. Sorry, I'm pointing to my phone because that's where my to-do list is. My calendar is also here. So you can eliminate most things from both your calendar, honestly, and your to-do list and be fine. Recently, I have been following this entrepreneur mentor named Alex Hormozy. Two people, Alex Hormozy and Dan Martell. Both are wonderful YouTubers with hundreds or thousands of videos for free that teach actually a lot about this idea of eliminating items, because to really prioritize means you have to get good at eliminating. Otherwise, you can't prioritize. It's overwhelming. And like I said, you're in your short term scarcity and sort of like anxious mindset when there's so much overwhelm. It's not, you're not intuitive and really grounded enough to prioritize well. That's why eliminating has to be first before you can prioritize, because otherwise you're being overwhelmed and you don't realize that you are being such a short-term thinker, uh, or rather that you could be much more of a long-term and soulfully guided thinker, prioritizer, if you had less things to prioritize. So one of the things Alex Hormozy says is um, that uh, if you, you know, if you if you really focus on the most important things, that means you should let the small fires burn. This is such a fantastic phrase for me. Let the smaller fires burn, or let the fires burn while you focus on the one most important thing. Are you willing to do that? What does it mean for you to let the fires burn? And by the way, I'm particularly spending the most time on this eliminating because I think that's where most of us need help, myself included. The other ones, like if you can do eliminate well, then the other ones are more reasonable. Like you can, you're in a better mindset to do the others. You got to do eliminate well. That's like 80% of the effort, in my opinion. So let the smaller fires burn. Are you doing that, or are you trying to there, make sure everyone is happy around you? Make sure everyone is taken care of to their fullest, extent. That is not letting any fires burn. And the other thing, the other teaching is from Hormozy that I really like is when you do small things, you get a dopamine hit. You get a temporary feeling of less anxiety. See, this is actually what's happening. You feel a little bit less anxiety when you do small things because you get a dopamine hit every time you check off a tiny, not that important item on your to-do list, but you are spending time and energy on it. Every single little thing you're spending time and energy on is taking away from your time and energy on the most important thing. So, like in my productivity program, I always encourage everybody to set one most important thing for the day. Not, I call it MIT, not several most important things, not several most important things. One most important thing. Why? Because if you start to weasel your way into saying, well, I have several most important things, you're already practicing this dopamine treadmill of saying, well, I'm going to try to, and you're also weakening your muscle of deciding. You know what deciding means? If you look at the etymology of the word, it means to kill. Deciding comes from the root of the word. It means to kill. It means to kill off other options so you can decide. You can say this one most important thing is what I want to put extra attention and focus to today. This thing, okay, it's not easy for me, but it's worthwhile. That's why I'm putting. Okay, so let the small fires burn. Let people be unhappy. Let people be unresponded to. No, really, are you seriously? This is what it takes to actually create spaciousness. Because if you don't allow people to be unhappy around you and to let people be unattended to, you will forever be crowded in with so many demands. As you say yes to one person, then they will request more from you in the future than other people around you. And you're training yourself to say, oh, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes. It's remember what you're here to do. You're okay. This is going to sound strange. You're here. I you're here to be selfish. It's so weird. I would what spiritual means the most selfless. My one of my spiritual heroes is Peace Pilgrim, the most selfless person ever, in modern history, in my opinion. Peace Pilgrim. You can look up her audiobook. Wonderful audiobook. Changed my life. But that's not what most of us are here to do. Most of us are not here to be homeless and just helping anybody who asks and just not making any money at all, like not using any money. Peace Pilgrim. I value Peace Pilgrim's story because I realized that we can take from some of these principles, but that's not the life we are called, most of us are called to live. So you have to be really honest with yourself. You got to stop lying to yourself and say, I'm not here to live as a nun or a monk. That's not the calling. Maybe some of you are, and that's wonderful. Get thee to a nunnery, right? But most of us are called to be householders, to live a life of, shall we say, selfishness. I'm using that phrase provocatively, but us hippies and like open-hearted people need to learn to be more selfish, not in terms of, it feels selfish to us. That's the point. It feels selfish to say, I can't help you. Sorry. But what happens is it actually opens spaciousness for your soul to then come through and say, what is actually the most helpful thing I can do in this life for the world, for my soul and for everybody else? And it's probably not putting out little fires. Life is testing you by getting a bunch of people to ask you for things. Life, the universe is testing you to say, are you willing to suffer the pain of selfishness, suffer the pain of feeling selfish when actually what you're doing is practicing boundaries. Boundaries feel selfish and it feels painful to us soulful people. But you're saying, no. Okay, no, not yet or not now, because I need some spaciousness for myself to even be bored. Now, you can't say that to someone. Your family members and your friends, your colleagues are going to like they're going to they're going to give you all kinds of problems, but don't say that. Say that to the understanding of yourself. Just say, I really can't. There's a lot on my plate right now. I can't right now. Let me help. Let me find someone to help you. Let me find someone to take care of you. Let me find or I'm sorry, you got to find someone else to take care of the situation. Okay, to say no, to say no, to say no, to say no, to say no on your own projects, the things that I want to figure this thing out. I want to study this. I want to put most of that stuff on a someday maybe list. When you eliminate from your calendar or to-do list, you might feel so pain, like, oh, this thing is so precious to me. It's not probably my most important thing, but it's so precious to me. I can't just get rid of it. I don't want to forget about it. Fine, put it on the list called someday maybe that you can still look at occasionally when you're bored, when you have more spaciousness to recover and be purposeful and grounded again. Then you can look at your someday maybe list and go, now that I'm in more of a rested and renewed mindset, I can then take on something that is more purposeful rather than because I am anxious right now, I'm just going to take on whatever looks shiny and cool. Okay. So eliminate. I spent most of my video on this. I'm going to now touch on the other items. Automate, share, and enjoy. Okay. So automate, the software tool mostly that I use for automation is Simplero. That's if you receive my email newsletter, that's through Simplero. My website is with Simplero. My affiliate programs run on it. My courses are run on it. They have a bunch of automation tools that allow me to, for example, so I'm just saying Simplero because that's the tool I like look at most often. But you may have another tool or other tools that you can bring in to automate things. So I use Simplero and I use Zapier, Zapier. Those are the tools I use most often for automation. It helps me. So one example, like right now, this is a salient example for me right now, is I'm enrolling my group program for the coming year, my yearly group program. And when someone has applied, right, in the past, before I did automation, when someone applied, I would manually write them and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you applied. I will be reading your application, and you can look forward to my answer in 5 days or whatever." Okay. With Simplero, when someone applies, okay, they get tagged. And then if someone gets tagged, they've applied. That's good because then I can easily look at who applied later, right? They get automatically get tagged when they get tagged by applied. And so I can look at the list of people later if I need to. But then when someone gets tagged, they get an email, they get put into a particular automation sequence where they get emailed to say, hey, we've received your application. I received your application. I'll be reading this. Da, 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 da. Okay. And then if they get accepted, they get another tag. So again, I can look at all the people who got accepted into the program. And then they get further into the automation where it's like they get an acceptance email and also to make their first their payment, basically. They make acceptance email, you're in, and here's the deadline to actually be in by making the payment. And then if they don't pay after a few days, they get a reminder email to pay. And they don't pay after a few days, they get a final. So this I used to do all manually. And now with Simplero or Zapier or other tools like this, I can just do the thing that only I human can do, which is to process their application, think carefully about whether this is the right person for my group. And then if yes, then these sequences happen. Right. So automation is I mean, it's freed me up time and anxiety by knowing that this is going to be taken care of. So I really encourage you to think through what are you doing manually? And chances are maybe many things you're doing manually can be done with software. Now, you might need to consult someone who knows about automation in this. This is something that I personally actually love working with clients on and talking to. So if you're interested, you could consider joining my Joy Pro program, Joyful Productivity program, where we do talk about. I'm going to be talking more and more about automation in that program as well, the different tools. Anyway, so automation, that's the second letter, EASE, eliminate, automate, share is next. Things that you don't know how to automate because you don't know how to do it, or it's not, machines aren't smart enough or human intelligent enough to do it, then you should delegate and share the work with other people. And really think about this. For every task that you don't have to be the one. Okay, so many things, honestly, you don't have to be the one to do it. Remember, let the smaller fires burn. This is another example. If someone else can do it, yes, they're not going to do it as well as you, but but they'll probably do it 75% as well as you. Okay? It's fine. Let the small fires burn. The 25% mistakes they make or not doing as, you know, intuitively or not doing as much of your voice or whatever as possible. It's okay because that frees up your energy and focus to do the things that are the most important, that make the most impact in your business and for your clients. Like those are the things that you should create space, create space, create space. Whatever you can't eliminate, whatever you can't automate, delegate it, share it with other people. So the tool that I like to use to find people to hire to be able to do my things is Fiverr. Okay. And again, this is something that we talk about in the Joyful Productivity Program. Fiverr like allows you to hire people at such a low rate. This is to hire people from Pakistan, from India, from Philippines, from, Eastern Europe, where the economy is such that, let me give you an example. Did you know that a software engineer in Pakistan and the Philippines, I've researched both places, which there's a lot of supportive people, helpers there to hire. Pakistan and Philippines software engineer, full-time corporate software engineer, you know how much they make? they make between $5 to $8 an hour. Let me say this again. $5 US to $8 US per hour is what a software. This is not a beginner, someone who does, this is a sort of a beginner middle. So sort of like start of careers towards the middle is $5 to $8 US dollars per hour. Corporate software engineer. My goodness, right? And plus, you can hire someone to help you automate too. That's the other thing. So it's like if I could pay them 10 US dollars per hour, or even, my goodness, 15 US dollars per hour, they would be, they could set their own destiny instead of working for a corporation and who knows what the corporation will do. They can decide their own destiny and work for clients like me. God, and it's such an amazing deal for you. If you pay you North American prices, it's easily the same, sort of technically savvy assistant, easily, 30 to 80 per hour. So please consider, using something like Fiverr, Fiverr, to share your work. And for those who are saying, well, I should be hiring locally, support my local economy. I get it. Yes, I buy a lot of, I hire a lot of service providers locally for things that need to be done locally. But think about this: your dollars goes way has a much more life. If you're just thinking about effective altruism, your dollar has much more life-changing effect on people in Pakistan and Philippines than it does on your fellow North American or fellow European or fellow Australian, etc. Wait, like it changes not just their life, but their family's life in a far stronger way. Humanity is actually uplifted far more when you, anyway, send dollars over there. All right. So, well, it's just like, donating to malaria nets in Africa. Same idea, right? Your money gets saves lives and changes lives way more there than donating the same $5 to your fellow North American. They're like, what? I'm going to buy a coffee with this? What am I going to do with this? Right? Okay. And finally, enjoy is the last letter. And the things you cannot eliminate, you're not yet skillful or strong enough to eliminate, but you will get there. And the things that you can't automate because you don't know how to do it or the software tools are not smart enough yet, and the things you cannot share, you're you're not willing to pay the $10, $15 a month, or you don't have the wherewithal. I get it. Then finally it's to you to do it. You're the one who is most fit to do this task or to do this calendar item. Then are you going to do it with resentment because it's crowding your spaciousness? Well, that's a danger, right? It's like, oh, that's the typical mindset people have of getting things done is, oh, I have to go to work now. Come on. Most of your waking life and your adult years are spent working. So that is actually, if you transform your way of working, you actually have the most positive effect on transforming your quality of life because most of your life is spent working. And so whatever you have to do, can't eliminate, automate, and share it, then you might as well practice enjoyment. I always say en dash joy. You bring joy into the task. Every task. I don't care if you're doing taxes. I do care. This is a high bar to bring enjoyment to it. But every task, whether taxes or cleaning the toilet or doing some planning or writing some copy for your web, everything has the opportunity to bring enjoyment into it, to bring joy into it, a deeper joy of, my gosh, even simply gratitude that you get to do this thing in life when, it's always a perspective when you compare it to so many people who can't. So many people don't even have the economic independence that you do to do your own business or to do whatever they have to just to have their family survive, work minimum wage for somebody else because of and they have, young children to take care of and elderly people to take. So many people are in such they have so much less freedom than you. So please bring that perspective in if you need to. and say, I'm so grateful and lucky that this task, even doing my taxes or doing my whatever it is you don't like to do, I get to do this right now. I have the freedom. Like so many people don't. I have the freedom to do it. And so I might as well bring as much spirituality into this moment as I can. Just even a few breaths of intention to say, I'm going to bring soulfulness. Imagine if every moment you lived with soulfulness. Is there a more purposeful life than that? I really believe that purposeful living isn't primarily about, I've got a great career, I'm making an impact on the positive impact on the world. Purposeful living, in my opinion, I mean, you're lucky if you have that, but purposeful living, in my opinion, is every moment. This very moment, no matter if your career or business is not where you wanted to be at, most of ours isn't. This very moment can be a soulful and deeply meaningful moment if you intend for it to be. If you find if you practice, and this is a muscle that you practice and get better at, if you practice finding meaningfulness and gratitude and joy and purposefulness and consciousness in this moment. Well, this video's gone long enough. I hope this is helpful, and I do have a blog post. I'll put it below the video for further reading on this ease um, framework. And in fact, there's another part of the framework I didn't get to talk about in this video. You can read it in the blog post below. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, for joining me on this journey. I truly hope that you will try applying this formula um, in depth a couple times a year, but also just every once a week, if you can just lightly bring some of this in and just try to eliminate or try to automate or share or at least enjoy some more things, I would feel like I've done my job here. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing any comments you want to add below. Take care.